What's up, guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made $1,000 trading Tesla. And then with this video, if you know me, you know that I love to trade with data as well as my technical analysis. And I've made a strategy called the W orb trading strategy. You might have seen it with my SPY and QQQ trade and trade recaps and tutorials. But in this video, we're going to go over how we can use the option surfer tool and use it with our opening range breakout. So it's essentially exactly like my W orb trading strategy where we use the data with the 15-minute opening range breakouts. Without further ado, let's get into this recap and I'm going to show y'all how I made $500 to $1,000 trading options on Tesla. All right, so the first thing you want to do, market is open. You want to wait 15 minutes after the market has opened and go ahead and mark your high and your low. This is going to be your 15-minute opening range. It should look something like this, where you just go ahead and mark the high, mark the low, and go ahead and put a box around it right here. Now, after you have your 15-minute opening range, we're going to wait for a 15-minute candle close above or below. Now, let me break that down. So what we're going to do is we're not necessarily going to trade this mess right here with the W orb trading strategy. We're going to look for a breakout to the upside or downside. We're going to go ahead and go look at the option surfer on Flowtopia.co. You can see that calls started to drop instantly once the market is open. So we have calls going down and puts staying flat. This is bearish flow activity. And if you're not familiar with the option surfer tool, basically this is a tool where you can go ahead and track any stocks to see the premium for that trading day. So this typically only helps with day trades, not necessarily swing trading, because the way it's filtered is to block out all the noise and make it only relevant flow for that day of trading. So for instance, I'm looking at November 13th. Only works for November 13th. So now we're going to get into why I took this trade. So now that we can see that it's bearish flow right out the gate, we're looking for a downside move on Tesla. And what the downside move is, that just means a breakout to the downside of this opening range. The reason is because we love to align our data with technical analysis. That is an A+ setup always. So now that we have broken to the downside on Tesla, you can see it happened pretty quickly. But I was able to get a order filled around somewhere right here where we retested on smaller time frames back inside of the orb, which is where I got an entry. And then you can see with option surfer being bearish, we're going to look for more downside. And calls were just continuing to go down. So I was just more and more bearish. So what this is going to look like is you're going to enter off of the retest, not the breakout. You want it to break out right here. And then you want it to come back somewhere inside of the range. It can come back to the bottom of the range. It can come back to the 25% retracement, or even the 50% retracement. And what you're going to do is go ahead and enter a short position somewhere around, like I said, the bottom 25 or 50%. And put a stop loss above the 50. And now what this is going to look like is something like this. Typically what I like to do is make sure my stop is like right under that 25%, because if it goes inside of the orb right here, right, I can just simply get out and wait for it to come back outside of the orb. So it doesn't bother me when I enter more than one time to try it, but I always like to have my risk very small. So with this specific trading strategy, we have the breakout to the downside. We have option surfer confirmation to the downside. So this gives us two confluences for downside on Tesla, and watch this play out. That could have been another entry right there. But you can see we continue to trend lower and lower and lower. And these option contracts ended up running for 170% until I got out. And I think it even ran for further. These are all on weekly expiration contracts. And this is exactly how you're able to trade the opening range breakout with option surfer combined, so you do not get manipulated. And you might ask, why don't we just play the opening range breakout? Why do we need the data? Well, I've seen many times where we break the opening range, right? But when we break the opening range, a lot of retail traders like to chase that sell order, like the buy order down here for more downside. But there's times where they'll manipulate the opening range, where they'll go the breakout to the downside and then head higher. So I've learned over the years of trading, when I use data with the opening range breakout, it makes it actually less risky, because I can follow the whales and see what the whales are buying and selling in real time, rather than just going off of pure technical analysis. There is times where they will manipulate. and I want to make sure I'm trading with the market makers instead of against it. There's times where the market makers will manipulate the opening range, but using the data helps you kind of get to see where they're positioning for ahead of the move rather than just blindly entering just off of technical analysis and not knowing what the market makers are looking for. I would personally rather trade with the market makers rather than against them. That's why I like to align my data with my technical analysis. This strategy is working for Tesla right now using the option surfer and the opening range breakout. But yeah, if you want to come watch me live trade in action, entries and exits of these trades, make sure to go to the description down below or go to wap.com/oasisalerts. And if you're wanting to use data to your advantage, make sure to go to flowtopia.co. This is where you can track the option surfer, all the individual stocks, and also look at the GEX tool, wave, top flow, market sentiment, and the real-time option flow down here. And that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you later.